I'll start with you, Sam. What's your number 5 on most exciting, intriguing new conference matchups?
Go and pick one that we've seen in the non-conference that will now be a conference game this year. Ohio State at Oregon on October 12th. I think that one will be a lot of fun. Two high-level programs that play for big-time stakes every year. Watching the Buckeyes go to Autzen in October. That's going to be that'll be a fun atmosphere.
Dave, was that on your list?
It was not. I had a bonus pick, which we'll probably get into later. But my number 5, I'm selling out to the Brands. Nebraska at USC.
That is a sellout because that didn't make my list, and I thought it was an interesting one. But yeah, like especially considering like if Dylan Raiola's playing, which I guess could happen. That would be exciting.
Let's party like it's 1979.
I mean, can we just take a second because Ohio State didn't make my list at all? Like how much of a travesty and a disservice the Big Ten did by leaving Ohio State USC out of the matchups. Like how is that?
Ohio State only plays one game. It's like USC is sort of like.
Shut up, David.
Other than Michigan, what's the point of even playing games? I
guess like there's two strategies for this because one, like Ohio State's a television property that is so valuable they could be playing anybody and they'll put up huge numbers. So you want to maybe use USC and Ohio State and spread it around a little bit so the average viewership numbers are higher. But like I just feel like that would have been like is a short like close second to how obnoxious it would be if Texas and A&M didn't play. Like, I just feel like it's right there. It's a layup and they didn't take the layup. So neither of your games made my list, although they were good. The reason why Ohio State, Oregon didn't make mine is because I've seen them play recently, both in the playoff and the non-conference. And yours is because Nebraska's involved, but I think that, that those are exciting. My number 5 is just, love my stars and I love my teams. Georgia at Texas. I just think that like that is just awesome. And if anybody just likes college football and high level teams with a lot of really good players in it, like this isn't rocket science. It's like just getting Georgia on the road in a big time atmosphere like that, and Texas being a team hopefully that will. I really have become a Texas homer. I said hopefully. Like maintain this level now that they've kind of broken through. Like, I wonder if Texas now is going to assert itself as one of these big-time programs that, grabs our attention in the non-conference every single year. And watching them play Georgia at home in a conference game, I think is a nice litmus test to see how that's going to stack up.
That was my number 2. And that actually, one interesting thing about that Georgia at Texas game is that is a week after one of the SEC's great rivalries, most storied rivalries, the Red River Shootout in Dallas, Texas.
That's a pretty bad 1-2 punch, and I'm sure we'll get to like the ending of Florida's schedule. I don't know if you guys saw this.
I did. And Oklahoma's schedule.
Billy Napier should just like be like, you know what, guys, I'm not going to do this. What's your number 4, Sam?
My number 4 is a rematch of a playoff game, Oklahoma at LSU on the last week of the season, November 30th. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
That's a rematch of the 2003 national title game, I believe.
That too.
Yeah.
That too, yeah.
Is your entire list games that we've already seen?
No.
I'm teasing you.
Well,
I'm teasing you. That's like 20 years ago, by the way.
That was actually my number 4, Sam. And it's worth noting, Oklahoma finishes the season. It's that LSU game's not Bama, is not Bedlam, but they have Bama in Norman the week before that game. Congrats.
Your number 4. You guys have the same 4.
Yes, we had the same number 4.
Okay, that game did not make my list. Okay, my next one is a bizarre game, and I don't know if you guys are going to be into it, but I have Iowa at UCLA because, like, as we talk about,
sure,
you think that's funny?
Humor me, please.
The entire thing that's so interesting about the Pac-12 joining the Big Ten is the contrast in styles, right? Like watching the West Coast wide open offenses like try to go in, play like the bully ball Big Ten West disgusting football that Dave loathes. Like watching Iowa get on a plane to go to Pasadena and play against UCLA and like I just can't think of two teams that play more separate styles of football. Like I think that is the game that is going to kind of welcome us into the new reality of the weirdness of the West Coast teams being in the Big Ten. So like I just think like from a style standpoint,
we can get that out of USC Michigan, right? We can pick a couple better teams to give
that's number 3 on my list, but I don't know. USC is just a
UCLA scored 7 points the last time they played a football game, right, Ari?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You don't see what I'm saying?
I guess, but I don't think UCLA embodies the wide open fun offenses. I think they embody sort of a messy mess of a mess currently.
I will tell you this. I when I made my list of 5, I have about 20 games listed, and I didn't even think about that one.
And somebody mentioned USC at Michigan. That's my number 3. For very similar reasons, but also 2 brands that have gone to the Rose Bowl quite a bit. Back when the Rose Bowl was worthy of the praise that Dave doesn't think it's worthy of, and just big. There's
sunsets all over the world. I'm just saying.
I will say this, and with the sunset thing, there's sunsets.
I can look out my window and see a sunset and mountains. I live in Tennessee. It's fine. Chill out.
There are sunsets everywhere, and there are sunsets in Dallas. But I grew up in Phoenix, and the sunsets in places like that are vibrant and more beautiful than they are. And I'm not saying that I don't get the pink skies every now and then. And I don't know if there's like a meteorologist that can explain to me that the weather changes. Like if the sky is cleaner than the colors are more vibrant. But the sunsets that I've seen while covering the actual Rose Bowl are hues of purple that I've never seen in the sky before. So your beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee sunsets might hit, and you're near mountains, but it's just does not hit the same way, especially if you are a person who had to scrape ice off of their car 2 days before on the way to the airport to go watch that game. There's whatever you think or say about the Rose Bowl is wrong.
Or if you want to just look at different hues of colors, we can go to Lowe's sometimes. You'd pass out. But
actually, Lowe's is my least favorite place on the face of the earth. What are your guys' number 3s?
Mine was Oregon at Michigan. So Michigan gets Oregon and USC in their home in the same year. Congrats to Michigan and their season ticket sales team. That's a layup.
All right, let's go to your number 2s, guys. My number 2 is Alabama at Oklahoma. I just like big brand on the road, and Alabama going to Oklahoma is an intriguing thought.
Too much red.
What about you guys?
Too much red. I left it off my list literally for that reason.
No, I am. That's my number 2 as well. I just like the idea of sending Alabama on a true road game outside the traditional SEC footprint.
Right.
They haven't done that enough, and they had to do it.
It's always a neutral site game.
Yeah, exactly. They had that habit of the kickoff games at a neutral site or at the Georgia Dome back in the day before Mercedes-Benz opened. I got tired of that. Send them to a road game that's not in the SEC, and this is one of them, and it's right before the Iron Bowl, by the way, which is I'm sure it's no longer SoCon Saturday for the SEC, as you noticed. If you guys looked at those non-conference games, are sprinkled throughout November. They're not just on that second to last.
I don't think I realized that. Nice,
yeah. So it's
which is good for that weekend because it's always brutal when there's 8 games in the SEC that day, and like 7 of them are against teams with 51-point underdog spreads. Like it's just like it's good to sprinkle them out so we can forget about those bad games on the days and instead of just being left without for one whole Saturday. So what was your number 2, Dave?
My number 2 was Georgia at Texas.
Oh, that's right.
We already discussed it. Should we go to our number 1?
Do we all have the same number 1?
We have to.
Texas A&M, November 30th.
At Thanksgiving weekend, as foretold by Texas A&M athletic director Ross Bjork
at Kyle Field. Yes,
and we're sure that it's a Friday, right?
No, it's November 30th. What's the day?
It's Saturday, which is odd to me because it's traditionally been either on Thanksgiving night or Black Friday. So I'm really surprised.
I thought it was Black Friday.
Typically it is, but when they unveil the schedule, it is listed as November 30th, Saturday. So I'm really interested to see if it sticks like that or if they change it at some point and turn it into either Black Friday or Thanksgiving night. Maybe not Thanksgiving night if the Egg Bowl goes back to Thanksgiving as it usually has, then maybe Texas A&M goes to Black Friday. I don't know. That's a conversation I haven't had with people on either side of it. But I can't remember the last time this game was played on a Saturday. It's been a long time.
It's easy for you to get there, Ari, as a fan. Shout out to Highway 6. I cannot probably get there as a fan. I want to go to this game so badly. Man,
Me too.
I'm excited just thinking about it. I've been waiting for this game more than a decade. I have no real ties to either of these universities, but I've seen this game many times. I covered it in 2011. Shout out to Justin Tucker. And man, it's just awesome. It's awesome.
I don't know if it's just me living in Texas now, but as you're well aware of, I've been exposed to the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry quite a bit. I feel
Too much,
like
some would
Texas
say.
and Texas A&M people hate each other more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
because
don't
it's
know.
cultural, Ari. It's cultural. For those of you who don't know, okay, brief Texas history lesson, okay? Nobody that's an Aggie calls Longhorns T, or maybe that's not an Aggie calls Longhorns.
They don't call them
T-sips.
UT. Yeah.
It's TU, the T-sips.
Mm-hmm.
This is cultural for centuries, right? The idea is that Texas is the white collar. I mean, this happens in many states, but it's intensified in Texas. Texas is the white collar school, the liberal arts school that sat home and made decisions about wars, and Texas A&M are the Aggies, the farmers who fed everybody and went out and fought the wars. And both of them feel like, the state could not exist without them. And they're both probably right, but there is a lot of bad blood there, and a lot of it goes back a long time.
And it is very
there's also proximity. It's because they're only about 100 miles apart. It's very
and the best part about it too is like the way that A&M has like operated its program for the past 5 years is like the exact opposite of blue collar, which I think is kind of amusing. But maybe that's just an outsider looking in. But
I was told farmers fight, Ari. That's what I heard.
I'm not saying that the people who go there. I mean, my wife is not a farm person, and she went there. I'll tell you. But I'm saying like a lot of the Aggies ended up making a shit ton of money. And have probably morphed into more white collar than maybe in the history. But I just feel like in general, the only thing that I ever see on Twitter are these two teams fighting with each other about who has accomplished less. Mm-hmm. And like Texas now actually has accomplished something. So it'll be very interesting once Texas comes in to infringe on their SEC right. How the fact that it's at A&M too. Where was the last one? Was the last one at A&M?
The last one was at A&M.
That's one was
Kyle Field.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it was Justin Tucker silencing Kyle Field.
How loud
I got a
that's going to
speeding
be
ticket on the way back home. Here's my question: can you sell out Kyle Field for Midnight Yell the night before?
That's a great question. That's going to be wild. The biggest crowd for Midnight Yell I remember is 50,000. Yeah,
it's going to pass that, no question.
Yeah, I think so.
I have to be there.
Yeah,
I honestly don't even want to cover it. I just want to go. You can cover it. I'm just gonna go.
It's gonna be tough.
I'll go to Midnight Yell.